let's just quickly go through. I'm just going to go through the volatility stocks, just check that I'm on the right screen. Yep, just going to go through the vol stocks first. And here we can see in vol that we're starting to get some DPI building. We're having a little bit more of a rise, both DPI and gamma related rise here in vol. We don't put an IV against them, the vol stocks in a group. Are we going to see a build like this? We can definitely see that they're holding at the moment. If we just go through and have a look, if we just quickly go and have a look on the VIX, have they almost broken this? Getting pretty close to breaking it, but not quite. It's down at one of those deciding levels. Now, I like having a really close look in at the VIX, unless we're coming into a building period when we've had a long rising market. And then you can look at it a bit further distance. The reason I come in close is it's quite difficult because of the moving averages setting back when the event. So we can see this starting to build here. So we've had this is last week, and we can see we've had a few little builds during the week of liquidity, and that's not just to do with the timing, but you can see that it's both lit and Globex hours before it's dropped down and gone into this period. Now we haven't actually seen the same sort of build. We've had a much flatter week. It's only really just started to charge again, and this charge here, let's see whether it builds out. There's definitely no signs in the VIX today to tell us that there's issues. If I just go back to the other screen, I like having a broad look around. This is the SQ. We'd expect it to be heavy out here. So this is an event day, and so there's been a lot of squaring off. And so if we just included that event day and we went the week before, let's go and see if they were thinking about it the week before. The event was there, so let's have a look at the Friday. Yeah, look here on the Friday they've taken their puts off, and this is charged. And look, we can see the same thing the week before, but they didn't actually close until the Tuesday. They weren't really certain about what Trump was doing, and then they've gone straight in and put puts on it. And those have worn out by the end of the week. So this week is a little bit of the inverse. Doesn't mean that it can't turn around when we've got Trump at the helm, but I think that we're a little bit better off. So this is the following week, and it's just we're not in the same situation. These are holding. Yes, these look like they're holding too, but I think I can see we've got a large section here. These here are probably sold. There's no point for them. They opened on the 5th. The 5th was a pretty leveling part of the market. The 5th, oh no, it wasn't. The 5th was 4th. Yeah, look, it's not that far underneath. So they opened 2 days ago. Yeah, the strength of these holding is interesting. Let's just go and have a look if we just trim that down and see if there's any really short dated stuff. These are really short dated and they're holding, so they're burning theta, so their conviction's pretty high. There's some sold out of the money. So I think SQQ is telling us that. Let's have a look at SPXL. SPXL. I think it's gradually going down rather than up. We're not seeing a great deal of trading in the other side. SPXL is the 3 times. It does look like that there's been a little bit more action here. We're only talking 10, but it's enough to put you off. If we open them up over, we'll go back an extra week. just get really lost in it. But I don't think we're out particularly wide in the hedging. It's come back down to this sort of 700 number, and it's sitting at it, and we've got quite a static number of calls out wide. It's not screaming at me at the moment. Let's go and have a look at the, not that this is really screaming, but here on the 31st we can see that it has risen. This is a worry that I didn't pick that up on the Thursday. If I just wanted to show you, if I go down to the 40, if I go down to the 30, you can see people trade this because of its leverage. They trade it really out wide, and so here we can start seeing it building straight away this week. It hasn't ever backed off. You know, they've been there all this week and in a higher level, higher than we've seen this week. Where this week we've got a rise there, but it's right down in the very low. It's like they're having a swing, or it's just hedging happening. Here, these out of the monies are a good sign. If I just went these out of monies were very strong going into that event last week. 6,000 here. We just barely got any down in these low 0.3. Let's go up a bit. Yeah, there's a few there, but it's not as rich. And we're not seeing this. We're not seeing all of these options out wide trying to take advantage of the next drop. And these ones on the 27th, didn't really flatten for the week until I suppose about maybe it did flatten on the 29th. So it flattened about here. All right. I'm just talking, so this is, I think this is a good sign, and I think that these are pretty light. Maybe it's just that they've shunted across a bit. Similar sort of positioning. It's definitely a nervous market. The VIX isn't going down. We've definitely got a more volatile market. If we look at SPY in the same period, and let's just make this a SPY's traded a bit higher. SPY's not really yelling anything. It definitely went up yesterday. We definitely saw more come in yesterday. But this again, you can see how light this was here in these higher delta. But if we go down a little bit, there was in the 0.4s, there was some people taking out insurance earlier in the week. You can see this starting to build by about the 29th. And then if we go and have a look at the long positions in the SPY, they're usually traded out. The long positions in the SPY, this is a real telltale. They were out by the 30th, where this week, if we just shunt forward to get into that next trading zone, it's really holding. It's quite strong. This is delta hedging. So if we went in underneath that and see what's in the shorter period, yep, these are standing out. Are they standing out that much? It's definitely not the big hedging in here. Let's just see if we go down to 7 days, whether they're relating to. There's just nothing in here that's really relating to an aggressive period later in the week. All right, what was that? I was just going to see if the TQs are traded. It's always good. It's just a fishing expedition trying to look for. Here, this DPI here is a little bit toppy. That always suggests that there's a bit more hedging going on than you think there is. And it's a place where we expect hedging, because we're starting to bang up against that ceiling. So in the TQs, we're not seeing a great deal here. In the TQs, we're not seeing a great deal here in the TQs. We've got good strength. This is a really strong suggestion here that the TQs are pretty happy. And let's just have a look a bit further out. I just think we're capturing the next bit. Let's go to the 30 days and see what that looks like. We can see what it was like on the 3rd. They were holding pretty strong at 50,000. We're down to 30,000. There's been a little bit of an increase, but I'm out here at 0.3. If I go into some heavier stuff, and let's just move up one day above that event day. I think that's holding. I don't think this is particularly scary. We've definitely had a little bit taken off the table here in those higher ones. That's probably worth being aware of. That's pretty high delta. 0.6 delta, that's pretty high delta. But as you can see, these are pretty high delta too, so this is just a bit of a roll. Those are all above 0.6, so this is pretty strong. It's about as strong as it's gone down, you know, it's holding. These are in the money positions, alright, so I think the Qs are alright. Alright, what's the last place? I'll do the IWMs. IWM is got some strong hedging there. This is because of rates. I don't actually know why that's really strengthened. Yesterday it was only a little strengthened yesterday, but the big thing to notice here is we've had, although they're small, we've had reductions in close. Let's go and have a look in the weeklies. Yeah, look, they've just sort of jumped up there. Nothing really to see apart from there's a reduction going forward. So let's have a look at the TNA. TNA is holding up a little bit better, but look, this is a huge increase here out wide. And you can see yesterday, I've missed this here yesterday. I think I had the TNA that's quite strong yesterday. Oh no, I said discretionary hedging was coming in. But we can see that the calls were holding well, but here they've really slipped a little bit here. So the TNA is a little bit softer. And then let's just have a look at the indexes. The indexes are really good for just giving you a general feel, because they're sort of muddy, but they're muddy with everything in them. And I think that muddy, when I say indexes, the groups, I think muddy with everything in them is a good way to look. So we can see here, let's just knock that down into the weekly. Let's wind that out and have a slightly wider look. Go to the day after the apex. Definitely, we've had this event here on the 24th going to 27th. This is looking pretty event-like, isn't it? This is the 22nd is when they jump on in here. We've got similar sort of numbers. This is interesting though. We've still got buying in the index. We're not, you can see this very strong start of a topping when and you don't necessarily always see topping. There's a bit of a topping here in July, but this was just lots of knee jerks, and then it's slowly come down till we've had a topping, and now we're back. It looks like we're back in an expansion here. We can see a little bit of topping, but at the moment we're still quite above that, are we? Or am I dreaming? Maybe we're coming off a very low place. Here doesn't look quite as aggressive. It's backed off a bit to about 35,000. But here we can see in the 7 days that it's not that it's really picked up. It's just that you can see here these first 2 days of the week it's dropped off, and here it's just opened up and it's holding. That being said, you know, there's still earnings going on, so it could well be hidden in earnings. Let's have a quick look at the Nasdaq. Here in the NAS, yeah, there could be earnings. Again, we can see that this built during the week. There's some telltale signs there that there's going to be something ruthless, and we're seeing that again here. We're seeing some hedging. Is it just because it's the top? Don't know. Again, the NAS has got this similar sort of pattern. You know, it's had a topping that's taken quite a long time here, bouncing around, and now we're seeming to pull out of that. Even though during this we've had some good dips. But it does. This is a little bit amber, so I'm going to put amber there. And then let's just have a look at the Russell. Russell. It's pretty interesting seeing that it looked more negative. Yeah, a little bit of a topping yesterday. And here, look at this drop in yesterday. It's strong. We've had a strong reaction to it. So the Russell looks really quite amber. No, I wouldn't say red, definitely amber. It's definitely suggested that more so than I'd seen in the data. Let's have a look in the 30 NDM. I thought in the data it looked much grainy yesterday. What are we looking at there? It doesn't look anywhere near as aggressive here. This looks much angrier. I suppose, but what we're not seeing is that it's just spread out. We're at 70,000 the first 2 days, wasn't as much. These are much higher than. I had that bite out of the 21st. Alright. Let's see what comes out in the specific tickets. It's green with some green, amberish. Definitely some defence going into the weekend. I would suggest to everyone there's some defence going into the weekend when you're thinking about today. Let's see how we go. This TNA, that should have stood out a lot more to me. This one here, and it's held and gone up, so I would say that this is quite amber. All right, thank you. I was just going to do CGC quickly. CGC jumped today. I don't know what CGC is. Oh, it's Canopy. It's some hemp. We can see it's had this a good strong build. Going into earnings. Look, can you spot everything to trade? Almost. You usually see things after the event. They're much more obvious when that. But we've had this nice build. We had a little bit of a build here. Didn't really eventuate in a lot. What's the difference here? Probably a bigger buy signal. Here we've had a buy signal here, and it's given us this little rise here. But if you'd taken this buy signal here, you would have had a pretty nothing event. Here we've seen a much larger event, and here we can see we've lost a substantial. If I put a filter on this, we've come. Oh no, that's about the same. In what delta am I on? 0.5. But we've seen this. Yeah, this is a bit inconclusive. It's really not till today that showed up as any reduction. We definitely had a reduction on the 17th at OPEC. So if we went and had a look at that, it's really sort of come out here, and that's when this gamma has started to build. So this is the event in gamma. This isn't really an event. These has actually gone up a bit during the week. And maybe it's just that it's the start of this week and it was the delta hedging. So if we look in here, we're looking at the third. So it's these. It might just be a bit more of delta hedging going in. If we just look at the longer time set, let's go and have a look. So in the longer time set, again, we can see we've dropped off. We've gone down 4,000 in the money contracts on the 17th, and then we've had not a huge build, but we've gone from, the last little bump we had, however many, to deep in the money. We've had, let's just wind that out a little bit. We've had this big increase here. This one's an obvious one. Here we can just see this really starting, but it's really the swap from this heavy hedging to much lighter hedging that is the obvious one here. We can chuck in it's had a good DPI build. When will we pick it? Don't know. Let's just have a quick look in the yeah, is any of that really anything you're going to read just because it's so much reactionary liquidity? All of these are just reactionary, and it really, again, I just don't think you would have seen it there in the liquidity. You might have seen it here when we've got onto this flat that there's a bit of a build, but is it that enough? This is reactionary, bang. This little bit of a build, but really it hasn't shown you a great deal. It's really just in the option space that we can see it. Anyway, it's a good one. Looks like it's got a little bit more to run, but it'll probably, if this is terrible tomorrow in earnings, it's probably just a blip. Alright, thank you for watching that. I hope it wasn't too boring that you were watching that. I was really splitting hairs to try and get something between green and amberish today. We'll see how we go in the single stocks. Have a good day's trading on Friday.